We have your top 10 goalkeepers in the World Cup. But before we get to that, remind the people how important goalkeepers are in knockout tournaments.
Well, listen, from personal experience, I played for the US youth national teams. Goalkeepers were always important when it came to knockout tournaments. Most of my goalkeepers didn't perform well. Sorry to all the ones I played alongside. However, they are a unique character, a unique human being. You have to be a goalkeeper. But goalkeepers can make or break your nation when it comes to a major tournament. And in tournaments gone by, sometimes the goalkeeper's performance has been forgotten because of the entertainment factor of goal scoring. But goalkeepers need to get a lot more credit, and especially with an extended competition, you're about to see some goalkeepers get way more attention than they probably should get, as far as I'm concerned. But let's give them some love, because there's a lot out there at stake for a lot of these nations that I'm about to talk about.
Can you tell he was an outfield player, not a goalkeeper, ladies and gentlemen? All right, let's get to your list. And number 10.
So obviously this is the top 10 that I think going into this competition, not necessarily in best form, but how important they could be when it comes to the World Cup. We start off with Alisson, playing for Brazil, offensive football. Sometimes we forget about how defensive the masterclass can be for the Brazilian national side. We've seen some great defenders who are celebrated for what they do going forward. Can't say that about goalkeepers, right? But Alisson, albeit coming off the season where he's been majority in the injury bench, he's now someone who's stepped back in, healthy again. I know he shares the role right now with Ederson, but I think he's going to play a massive role for Brazil. They're going to be offensive-minded in that group, especially that first group game against Morocco. That is a huge game that you will, at one point, rely heavily on your goalkeeper. And I do think that Alisson needs to have a great campaign for them to be successful in this World Cup. I then go to Unai Simon. Now, why am I going to Spain for Unai Simon? Shouldn't we talk about David Raya being the world's #1 goalkeeper right now, potential Ballon d'Or winner? Possibly, but he's not the Spanish #1. He has an opportunity, in my personal opinion, of being, once again, a World Cup winner or a major tournament winner. He's done so in the Euros, and Unai Simon is absolutely #1 for Spain going into this competition. Why? We don't really know. Coming off the back of club season in Bilbao, he had an okay season, and he's been a very good goalkeeper, but I do think that he needs to be very good for Spain to still have success. If he's not, David Raya is right there, waiting in the wings to grab the attention. Jordan Pickford, a little bit crazy, plays for Everton, Toffee's goalkeeper. Maybe not plays for the most shiniest and sparkliest name in world football, but when he plays for England, he's a different animal, and that's what a lot of these goalkeepers are. Pride, passion, commitment. He's a little bit more serious, I think, when he pulls on that England jersey. But in major competition, he can be a game changer. And I think the manager relies heavily now, Thomas Tuchel, on having that type of goalkeeper with character to step up and perform. There's pressure on Pickford. He has to do well. But that is one weakness that I think is in that England camp. Prove me wrong, Jordan Pickford.
He's done that quite a bit. He's proven a lot of people wrong over the last several years with the English national team. But before we go to number 7, just real quick, I need to call you out.
Yeah.
David Raya for Ballon d'Or?
Ballon d'Or? Why not?
I think there's a little bit of a stretch. I understand what you're saying with Unai Simon and David Raya. It is a conversation that I think we should be having more about with Luis de la Fuente. He's clearly decided on Unai Simon, but I think he's a little bit of a stretch there on Ballon d'Or talk for David Raya.
This segment brought to you by Stefano's Opinions. Ronwen Williams. You will not necessarily know the household name, of course. I do think that Ronwen Williams will have an impact in this competition. He is coming off the back of a terrific season domestically, 13 clean sheets from 29 appearances. Let me repeat myself, 13 clean sheets from 29 appearances. Doing the same also for the national team. At 34 years old, that experience is vital for a South African side that need to perform well. They need to rely heavily on the goalkeeper. He is a character. And by the way, South Africa rely heavily on domestic-based players. He's one of the best that's in the league, and he's also one who's a great character that can really help them get that surprise result or two when it comes to it. Let's go to a goalkeeper who's actually stepped away from the headlines and actually jumped into Saudi football and grabbed the headlines over in the Middle East. Yeah. 3 years now, he's been at Al Ahly.
Crazy.
He's got more games now for Al Ahly than he had at Chelsea Football Club, which is quite crazy. He played over 100 appearances for both football clubs. But I think for Senegal, it's very important that you rely heavily on his experience and also his quality, right? In big occasions, he's got big tournament mentality. They don't lose games, right? And he's one of the reasons why. He also has a habit of stepping up in these massive occasions and pulling a save out from absolutely nowhere when you don't think a goalkeeper can even get there. So watch out for him, because there are a number of African goalkeepers that have got my attention. There's another one I'm about to mention to you. But watch out for Mendy. Getting a bit older now, but he's certainly someone we've got to pay attention to.
I like that, and I think he's maybe been a bit forgotten by some of the regular Premier League fans that have been watching football. He is still a good goalkeeper. Had a bad moment, really, when he was over at Chelsea. And now has kind of revitalized his career a bit more, and you see that with the national team. I like that shout.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's get to the top 5, because the top 5 is where it gets a little bit more dangerous and dirty. And it's not easy for me to go from Alisson all the way to our number 6. But when we go to number 5, it's not easy to be able to choose, because the goalkeepers get to the world-class level. Thibaut Courtois is someone who's caught my attention for more reason than one. He's an outstanding goalkeeper, not always healthy, a bit of a character, has caused a bit of upset in that Belgian national side, for personal reasons more than anything else. But he is one unbelievable goalkeeper. Now, he could be number 1 as the most important goalkeeper in this competition if Belgium surprise all of us and actually have the competition we've been so desiring from Belgium. This magical generation of players. He's one of them, right? And he's also one of the best goalkeepers in world football when he's healthy, when he's tuned in and focused, and he has to be in the World Cup to be able to have that type of success. Love Thibaut Courtois. Where's his fitness? I have no idea, but I know he's important for Belgium. That's why he's there.
Yeah, he's so talented, right? I mean, you could argue for years that he's the best goalkeeper, most talented goalkeeper in the world. And I think when you're talking about Belgium's golden generation, I think you have to say that he's probably the player of that generation when you think about it, because he's still around. He's still playing at such a high level, and the trophies he's won. He's got to be right at the top there, maybe with Kevin De Bruyne, when you're talking about that level of players for the Belgian national team.
Yeah, number 4, if I'm not mistaken, it's Magic Mike Maignan. Outstanding goalkeeper already. A bit of a surprise leading up to the World Cup. They had a bit of a shock result yesterday. But he is someone who's coming off the back of a very difficult campaign. A lot of rumours about his future as well. And for the French national team, with how many offensive players they've got, and they do have a tremendous amount of talented defenders as well. But I do think there is that possibility that France will have a lot of efforts on them. And I think Mike Maignan has to step up big time. He's a big-time goalkeeper, great experience already, sometimes performs better, in my opinion, in the French national team jersey than he has done for Milan. But he is an absolute class goalkeeper. On the big occasion when maybe even Milan have been struggling, he's come up with those saves where you've gone, where on earth did that come from? So Mike Maignan deserves to get a shout-out. He's a quality goalkeeper, albeit not his best campaign. Not many of these goalkeepers have had their best campaign outside of Williams. I mean, you've got to look injuries. Simona at Bilbao, Pickford at Everton, almost made Europe, didn't make Europe. Edouard Mendy, Al Ahly, success, but not a success they wanted. Thibaut Courtois, injuries. Mike Maignan, not great at Milan. So where's the success going into this competition? Well, let's move to number 3. Morocco is a team that I've got my eye on because they're in Scotland's group, first and foremost, but also because Yassine Bounou is a goalkeeper who was born in Canada, believe it or not, but decided to represent Morocco and has been sensational for them. Not really spoken about, not really celebrated about too much. He is a goalkeeper that in the major competitions, that's where we see him more than anywhere else. He's calm, he's collective, and he grabs the headlines. Majority of time we see Morocco facing a penalty kick shootout. Right? At some point, it's going to happen, right? It's definitely not going to happen at the group stage, but it will happen at some point, I would imagine, for Morocco as they fight their way through. Will they finish in top of the group? That first game against Brazil, you need Bounou to be top point. He's got to have a big game. And you know why I've put him there? Is because I actually think they bring a surprise result against Brazil on that first match day. And it makes that other game, you know, between Scotland and Haiti, a bit of an important game if Morocco do spring a surprise, because, of course, Scotland look forward to playing Brazil a little bit later on.
Yeah, I have nothing to argue here with you. That's a good one. And especially, I don't have anything to argue with your number 2.
How can I argue with him? He is the man. Major competition needs character. There are few better in the beautiful game than Emi Martinez, right? I mean, success for Aston Villa again. I mean, he's just a top-class goalkeeper. And I don't want to critique Aston Villa in any way, but I will say this. I'm a bit surprised that he's not at the elite club level. Aston Villa is a Premier League club. They are a European champion for a reason. But I think a player of his ability, being a World Cup winner, and how interesting his character is, and how big he is in those big games, I'm a bit surprised he's not at a PSG, an Inter, or somewhere like that, where he's competing. And Arsenal even, I'd throw it out there. I know Raya's there right now. Yeah. But he is of that level, and that's why he's my number 2. I think he's brilliant. And all of the ex-housery you see from him actually makes Argentina better.
Oh, yeah.
That's why you win penalty kick shootouts. It's mind games.
Psychological warfare is what he brings. We've seen it in several shootouts now, not just once, right, where he gets into the mind of the opponents, and he gets into the mind of these strikers that have kicked a million penalties in their careers, but in that moment, they have that moment where they just cannot make it happen because they have this guy right there just messing with their mind.
Do you know, against France, penalty kick shootout, don't worry about it. Let me bring the glove out, right? You don't need to worry about it. He's got it. He's ready to go. Character's everything, and there's few better than my number one. Manuel Neuer's number one. He's in his 40s now. Is he healthy? We don't know. But when he plays well. Big competition, he's won a World Cup. He's done it all. He's won everything. Right? He's an outstanding goalkeeper. Character, hugely important for Germany. Germany need big character. And in my opinion, they need experience in this competition because they're not as good, Germany. They're just not. Defensively, not as solid. Fullbacks, not as good. Offensively, got 2 world-class number 10s, not a great goal scorer. Wingers, not bad, aging a little bit. It's not a great Germany. So they're going to rely heavily on Manuel Neuer. I really feel that. Brought back into the national team by Nagelsmann, and he's going to be, in my opinion, a difference maker. If Germany are to have any success and make any noise, they have a potential to play France, by the way, in the knockout rounds. Watch out for Manuel Neuer.